Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Roval Fowler.
And Roval Fowler is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare two laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Live from iRacing's virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval in virtual Concord, North Carolina. Welcome, sim racing fans, to the fourth season of the Apex Racing League Porsche Cup Championship. This is round number 1 of the new campaign, live on Apex Racing TV. So happy that all of you could join us this afternoon or evening, wherever you're tuning in around the world, as the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship enters a brand new era with a brand new car. Joshua Lee here with you in the booth alongside Andy Thompson, with Marco Barbanera down in the virtual production trailer. And Andy, as opposed to past seasons of this championship, coming into this one, a lot of unknowns, as we will roll a brand new car out onto this track that was debuted just some odd a week and a half ago.
Yeah, definitely. So really exciting championship, looking forward to over the next 8 rounds. And yeah, looking forward to this new car. So obviously first time the drivers have really been practicing round in this car, which is a 4-litre V6, 510 horsepower motor. Sounds very nice on iRacing. So not only they got to contend with the track, with the drivers, it's also contending with the new car. So really looking forward to this. Should be a really entertaining first round.
And there's not a ton different when it comes to the 911 that we've seen before and the 992 that we're seeing on the track here. Still race relatively similarly and still sort of provide that traditional Porsche racing that we're used to seeing. Long draft trains, a lot of close battling, and a lot of just waiting for moments to happen and waiting for a door to open. And we know these drivers, especially now that they've been sitting around for a couple of weeks waiting for this new season to come up, it's going to be a lot of aggressive driving here to get this season started.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this track is like a Marmite track. You either love it or you hate it. You know, you get that hardcore crew that really love this track for the fast corners and tight bends, and then you get the ones that rather give it a miss, to be honest. And I was watching a bit of the practice, and we had a practice session yesterday, and you saw a lot of the cars certainly coming into the area they're coming into now, onto the infield from 10, 11 and 12, as well as 15 and 16, you know, getting it very wrong and spinning there. So I'm expecting to see a lot of actions around them areas of the track.
Now, a lot is changing on the racetrack for this season. Not a lot is changing when it comes to the formats. Here today, we're going to have 2 heats of action leading into a B final and then the A final that we will have on the racetrack to bring the 36 cars, I believe, that are registered here down into the amount we will run for tonight's feature race. When it comes to the point standings, we still have the drivers split into Pro and Am. Am will be denoted by green on our overlay. Pro drivers will be denoted in red. And interesting to see that we're already seeing a handful of Am drivers grab their laps in and put themselves up onto the board here in qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. In the practice, the drivers were hitting times of around low 117. So expect to see that around about that time for the qualifying time. Maybe a little bit better, but certainly 117 I think is a target for the qualifying. Obviously, as you were mentioning about the heat formats there, Joshua, the top 8 from the 2 heats go straight through to the A final. And the rest go through to the consolation round, and the top 6 in the consolation round go through to the A final as well, where we'll have a grid of 22 for the A final.
And running now to the front straightaway and seeing these drivers dive into the corner as well. This is going to be an interesting opening round because, like you mentioned, with this track being so polarizing, you either love it or you hate it. I love the comparison you did, the Marmite track. It really is. You either love to race here, you want to be successful here, or you just want to get this round out of the way, load it up, and go on to the next race that you're more happy with. But we're seeing some fast drivers already laying down those lap times. Some close lap times at the top, but as they work their way down, you can see about 1 second separating now the top 9 as Stogebauer works his way up into P8. There goes Kessler now into P9.
Yeah, definitely. We got Katja in pole position at the moment with a 117.3. I expect that to come down slightly towards the end of the qualifying, obviously getting their tyres warmed up for this track. But, you know, one of the good things about this track is the fact that you've got the cambered corners, you've got the off-cambered corners going around the first section of the track, and then you go into this oval part towards the back end of the track, and then you got the 2 bus stops that you have to really contend with, and that's where all the action I feel today is certainly going to be made, and that's where people are going to win and lose the races in that area, I believe.
You see the 166 of Joe Vigard Gotterstad diving into turn number 1, the middle portion of this track, and coming onto the front straightaway, Scott Mokes. Let's see what he's got for his first time on the board, and it's a great one, P5. That'll be 117.675. What a lap from the 110. More drivers working their way across here in open qualifying. Marcel Fritsch going to move up into P14. Cairo's competition machine of Emil Winbo going to go into the middle portion of this track. And another one of the changes that we are seeing in these cars, new digital dashboard and a more compact steering wheel, less of the old GT type cars where it's a full circle steering wheel we used to have in these Porsches. Now it's much more like an F1 wheel where it's, you can see him really using it, trying to get that car to be stable, and he's going to go ahead and let that car go by and give up on this lap. But more differences in the 992, not just how it races, but how it looks from inside the cab, which could lead to a couple other drivers having some issues today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the car itself looks like ultra modern now, brought up to the 21st century, not the old style big huge wheel that you used to see in front of you, which I really enjoyed about the old Porsche. But this one, I mean, I haven't really driven it around this track, but I had a quick go in the car, and it does feel very similar to the old style Porsche that happens. Yeah, it's really nice to drive and a good addition to the iRacing setup on cars. But you know, one of the things about this open qualifying is they've got to contend with the cars in front of them. So you've got to balance out that, am I going to stick behind the car to try and get the draft and possibly the driver in front having an incident, or try and get an open field so you can just race your own race. So you know, a lot for the drivers to contend with in this series and in this open qualifying that they've got at the moment. Whereas we see Kajunia at the top still at 1:17.3, Christian 0.08 of a second behind him, with Fikula behind him at 0.077. So the top three covered by absolutely nothing. So going to be interesting racing when we actually get to the heats.
Getting a good look here. Yannick Heinet working his way through the front stretch chicane that was added in for the NASCAR layout of the Roval here, which is the same layout we are running here today in the Porsche Cup Championship. Added that chicane there on the front straightaway. Also added a chicane on the back straightaway, which a little bit more of a hard braking zone, especially on the back straightaway, as we see Thomas Wangen getting into a little bit of trouble on the front straightaway. He locks it down, gonna tow his way back to the pits. On board, Joe Vigard Gotterstad trying to improve on the P11 he's currently got on the board, and that lap is not going to do it. Looks like he's setting up for a flyer. Melvin Bow up into P11. What a time for the Kairos competition. Number 123 up to P11. Daniel Porter moves up into P13. He is now your top of the AM class. Pochestaya Pravda, also working his way into the infield section. Needs to improve on that 1:19.46. Nicola Forza Lippi also does need to do that as well, being P23 overall, because going into this championship, Andy, that is one of the interesting parts, is the points are done based on overall finish. They are not based on class finish in any of the heats, the B mains, or the A finals. So they need to get those overall finishes, even though they are racing their AM teammates when it comes to the point standings. To get more points, they got to pass the pro drivers that they're trying to beat.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously that plays into this sort of format with the two heats that we have. You know, it's vital to try and get in that top 8 position, but it's going to be very difficult for the AMs to try and get into that position, as we see on the time in town. The sort of split between the pros and the AMs. So top 13 spaces are all taken up by the pros at the moment, with the top AM being Porto, who's currently 14th. So you know, a lot of the AMs will be targeting the Consolation or the B final to try and get in that top 6 place to get into that the A final, and that's where you're going to get the real points in this championship. So you know, for the AMs, it's certainly the goal is to try and get into that A final to make sure that you do get a decent points haul going into each round.
And just further talking about the AM class versus the pro class, we always see those AM drivers that work their way into racing with the pros, and we see usually 1, 2, maybe even 3 or 4 AM drivers really running with the pros each and every week. It's going to take that to win the AM championship, because we've seen that AM championship be dominated in the past. If you're not right there with whoever is starting to pull away in the points championship, you can kiss championship hopes goodbye in one of the middle rounds of the season. It is very quick for that AM championship to be locked down, as we see Bo Albert slam the wall.
Yeah, big wall ride there going around the first corner. So yeah, I mean, I expect to see, you know, certainly coming off the line, that first corner to be quite heated coming into these heats around them when we go into them. So I mean, certainly the first corner is going to be interesting for the guys. So if you know you can keep it clean going through there, then you could actually gain through a few positions off the heats there. So be interesting to see when we start off. So it's an even and odds for the heats. I think it's odds for the first heat and then evens for the second heat that goes out. So there's a good chance for some AMs to sneak up there into the top 8 to try and get the straight into the final and not go through to the Consolation.
Well, just like that, we are ready for the first heat of the day. Top 8 advance to the feature after 12 minutes of racing. It's Roger Christensen who starts on the pole with Bo Albert to his outside. Luke McKeown and Max Kessler on row 2. Joe Vigard Gotterstad on to the inside of row 3 in P5. Lewis Ward who's outside. Emil Vinbo in P7 with Jesse Hiliaho in P8 with Marcel Fritsch in row 9, or 9th place. Row 5 to the outside of that 5th row will be the first AM driver that we see down the order in Yannick Hanet. Tom Bingham to the outside of that 6th row. Nicola Forza Lippi on the inside of that row P12. Down the rest of the order, it's Aaron Smith, Henning Stuhlanger, Gordon Berman rounding out that top 15. Oliver Holtz rounding out the top 16 with Craig Salter, Nikolay Polyakov, and Dave Nonen rounding out your 19 drivers that are ready to go racing here in the heat. We do have a consolation that could come into play later, Andy, but in that, only one driver is slated to make it into the feature, just depending on how many drivers that we have signed up. We had, I believe, 37, so we are going to send some cars home, and a good finish here in the heat could set you up for that feature.
Yeah, definitely. As we see at Timon Tower, the top 8 are highlighted there, so it gives our viewers a good indication of who's making it straight through to the top of the final A. So they're automatic qualifiers. The rest will go through to the consolation. But we're on the grid. We can hear the engines revving up and they're away. And Christensen gets actually a quite good lead. Very quick drive with Albert in 2nd place. Gotterstad manages to make a move on Kessler and taking in 3rd place with Kessler into 4th. And I think we've got a bit of an issue there with Fritz going down the others. McCohen has right in the middle. Yeah,
That was very close. That looked to be the Luke McKeown for Logitech G Altus Esports, I believe, that went around. He scored down in the back of this field. I don't think anybody else got huge damage on that number 122 machine, but McKeown's going to take it to the pit lane. So you see Christensen and Albert go battling through the middle portion of the racetrack. It'll dump out into NASCAR 1 and 2. This whole corner is turn 9 on the Roval. NASCAR's turn 1 and 2 on the oval. Albert going to make a look to the outside. Christensen going to defend the inside line. It's a left-hander that's coming up here on the back straightaway in the chicane. Albert's going to peek to the outside, decides against it in the braking zone. He's going to move right back into line as Christensen going to hold off Albert for the moment. Gotterstad, Kessler, and Ward rounded out the top 5 is through the chicane. They continue to swap spots further back.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big blow for Luke McCohen. Very fast in the practice, was in the top half of the grid, in the top 5 going constantly in the practices. So, you know, at the moment, he's looking like he's going to be out of this one and looking towards a consolation. But what this has done is obviously brought some AMs into Fingo, and Yannick Innick, as I was just saying that, just managing, was in 6th place and is unfortunately hit the wall or something, and he's losing his place. So the current top AM is Tom Bingham of Performance Esports, currently holding that 8th place with Fritsch just behind him as well. So top AM currently Bingham in 8th place, so he will automatically go through to the A-Class final. So yeah, good on him, but Fritsch will be trying to get that 8th place back from Tom Bingham.
Yeah, he's going to hold on to that spot now here as we cross over. 2 minutes down, 10 to go. This will go by relatively quickly here with only 12 minutes. We're averaging roughly about 1.5 minutes per lap. You can do the math as we have a close side-by-side battle. To the outside of Lewis Ward, to the outside of Gotterstad goes Lewis Ward, excuse me. Gotterstad going to try and hold it on the bottom. Ward going to try and hold it around the outside, and contact made it around, goes to 166. Gotterstad gets turned, not a full spin around. He's able to keep it going, but he's going to lose spots down into P7. Now is a mirror full of Tom Bingham, who's going to try and get by him to add more cushion to his transfer spot.
Yeah, that's one of the things as well about this, Joshua. You obviously got to make that top 8 position, but you want to get up as high as you can for a decent position on the A final. You know, so not only have you got to contend with trying to stay in 8th place to get in straight automatic qualify, you've also got to contend with, am I going to push it to try and get better positions to get a better position in A? So the drivers, you know, have got to deliberate that and decide what they're going to do during this race. Do they risk it and try and do as we saw there? And it could hit you out in the top 8. So very much a conundrum for the guys. Do they just go for the top 8, or do they try to get up to the higher positions? As we currently watch Craig Salter at the moment in 13th place, fighting with Smith and Poloskov in 14th. So just a bit out of the lead. But as you said at the start, Josh, you know, there's this train effect that goes on with these cars. So, you know, anything can happen, and it's so easy. The top 10 or top 13 covered by 10 seconds at the moment.
And everybody now just trying to get settled in because, like I mentioned, 12 minutes is not a long time, but if you treat it like a sprint, it can come back to haunt you. They need to just keep that patience going, stay in this line, keep on working through as issues up front for, looks like Vimpo, way off the pace, coming through NASCAR 3 and 4. To the front straightaway goes the 123, losing a ton of spots. Not sure what happened to that Kairos competition machine. Is one car gonna go right on through that middle front stretch chicane. So we go on board with Vimbo. Damage to the right front of that Porsche. Not sure what happened, but now they're going to try and rebound. They're down in P13. A ton of time to make up to the transfer spot, as that was Aaron Smith that went through the front stretch chicane. Now trying to hold off Craig Salter. Zem Racing versus BTTW Racing.
Yeah, as well. Currently on board with Smith at the moment, just at the front of this group here, with Salter and Wimbo just getting behind him. So it'll be interesting to find out what happened to him, because it seemed like a very strange place to get that slowdown. Maybe it was one of them inlays that we're talking around 10, 11 and 12 seems to be part of that. Obviously, Emil Wimbo is quite a fast driver, so I'd imagine he'll start trying to pick off these amber. He's got a big mountain to climb now to get back into that top 8th place, which is 4 seconds at the moment to Frisch, who's holding that 8th place at the moment. So he's got a lot of time, and so he's going to have to really try and push it, as we see him taking every inch of the curbs going over the corner there, which might impact him coming out of this corner with Salter just right behind him. He might try and take the position back. So yeah, pushing it to the limits as we watch Roger Christensen currently in first place, fighting out very heavily with Albert in second, only 0.2 of a second behind him. So these two getting a bit away, about two seconds ahead of Kessler in third at the moment. So these two out in the front on their own and just having their own little battle at the moment, Josh.
I mean, talk about really pushing it here at the front. They have been, you could not put anything between them for the last handful of laps. Of course, we're on lap number 5 here. Heat number 1. Top 8 are going to advance their way into the feature race. You can see just how close Bo Albert can get. Just nowhere really to make a pass, and that brings up passing zones when it comes to the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, because there really is not a ton unless you are willing to race aggressively. Like you can see Bo Albert here, he could dive it up into the braking zone and force his way into that inside line. Not the smartest thing to do, especially middle of the way through the first heat of the day, but they can make those moves, but they need to be aggressive. There really is no safe passing zones on this course. All of them need to be aggressive moves made, as we see Hagnet trying to work his way up into Lippy and get that 9th spot away.
Yeah, definitely. They can just see the front cars of Tom Bingham and Frisch in 7th and 8th in front of them. About 1 second down from them. So, you know, these two need to work together to try and close in the 8th place to try and get that automatic qualifying place. Otherwise, they'll be heading over to the consolation round, and you know, it's all a lottery when they get to that, because only the top 6 in that round will go through, rather than obviously, as we see a big hit there. Oh no, that was, I think that was Salter there going into the wall with a bit of an issue with Palacios.
And you can see bursting his way down to the bottom goes Salter, trying to get around here. Smith, and take a look at the contact made between both of those Porsches. It looks like Oberman got a little bit too far out of the groove as well. He falls now further back in that WS Racing Esports blue machine, running right behind his teammate in Oliver Holtick as they work their way on to NASCAR 1 and 2, side by side. It's Lippy and Hagnet down the back straightaway into the backstretch chicane. How is this going to work out? And out braking goes Hagnet. Gonna take that spot. That's Lippy grabbing that spot in the 273. You're on board now with Hagnet in the 237. 2 privateers racing out here on the track. No team affiliations. And as they go through NASCAR 3 and 4, back into the front stretch chicane, can Hagnet make a move? He gets a little bit loose under the braking zone. Not going to be able to get that pass done. He'll settle for that 10th spot. Looks like trouble further back, as yes, 2 drivers going to hop into the pit lane for damage. That's Smith and Salter.
Yeah, definitely those two will be heading over to the consolation round. So obviously just trying to get a bit of practice in the rest of this race, which has currently got 4 minutes left. But we did see there, Hignett obviously trying to get on the inside of Lippy. It can be done there, and that's probably the best place to try and pass it, but he sort of hesitated, and Lippy came across him into that corner, so he just needs a bit more emphasis going into that corner, and he could get that move done, but then you're obviously susceptible to a slower exit speed on that corner, so this is probably a good place to pass, but you need to be really confident and really aggressive on the lines you've taken there, as we watch Christian and Albert at the front still battling out, still nothing between them lap after lap. But last lap was a 1:17.4 for Roger Christensen and a 1:17.3 for Buell Albert, so the lap times are absolutely nothing between them at the moment. But a bit of an issue here with Goddestad going quite slow around the back end of the section, so it'd be interesting to get replay here.
Off the pace, and we'll see exactly what this replay is of. Going to the back bumper of Dilajo in the 145, goes to the outside. Was it contact going into the backstretch chicane? Let's find out. Yes, it was. And he tried to make that corner, could not, so he went through the chicane. That, of course, leads to a slowdown. He needed to give that time back to the iRacing sim. That's exactly what he did, going slow through NASCAR 3 and 4, which then led him to be able to continue on in P6. Battle for the transfer. Not much to talk about right now as Marcel Fritsch holds that spot, and the gap every single lap increasing on Hignett back in P9. And you can see those lap time comparisons. Last time by a 1:19.19 for Fritsch, a 1:19.74 for Yannick Hignett. So we can see who the faster Porsche is out on the track, and we're closing in on the white flag. It looks like we're just barely gonna miss out on it. This lap will go around for 2 more, but time is running out for Hignett to get that transfer spot, and everybody else back from here really just fighting for a spot in the consolation where they're gonna start.
Yeah, definitely. I think the problem with Hignett is he's just losing time in it. Himself and Lippy are fighting it out, and it's given a bit of a gap to himself and Frisch in 8th place. But you know, a great drive at the moment from Tom Bingham in 7th, our top am, who is currently in the cut for the A-class final. So if he can keep that position, keep his cool in 7th, that'll be a great result for him to go straight through to the A-class final for himself. But Frisch obviously on his tail, but Hignett's, I think, too far back at the moment, unless Bingham has an issue there, as we currently watch the front 2 and Buell Albert must be able to do a technical drawing of Alan Christensen's rear Porsche, because he's been behind it so much for this race.
Now remember, points are up for grabs for these heats, and it looks like Bo Albert wants the lead. He dives it to the bottom, and Roger Christensen not going to fight that too much. And through the backstretch chicane, give the lead over to Bo Albert for Logitech G Altus Esports. A talented driver, V8 supercars, Porsches, rally cars, doesn't matter what you put him in. Bo Albert is going to show speed as we go back to the battle between Leapy now and Vinbo, who has found their way back up into this battle. Gonna look to the outside. They're side by side into NASCAR 3. Vinbo on the outside looking for a top 10 spot. Contact made. They door slam coming off of 4.
Yeah, definitely. That was a close moment at the moment. Winbo's all over the back of Lippy. Oh, just managing to hold the car off and not go into the back of him there. So a great bit of driving there from Vinbo coming into there. But Vinbo's all over the back of Lippy. One thing this has done is let Hignett get away at the moment. And he's actually closing down on Fritsch. He's only 0.6 of a second behind him now. So managing to get away from Lippy has managed to give him the free air to just try and chase these 2 cars in front of him. So it's going to be a real battle here now to see who gets that last place to go straight through to the A-class final.
Everybody running close together, fighting now for the transfer as the gap has closed in after a mistake from Marcel Fritsch. Final lap here in the heat. They'll take the checkered flag this time by working their way into NASCAR 1 and NASCAR 3 and 4, excuse me, and on to the front straightaway. Looks like this time they will take the checkered flag indeed, and through the final chicane, give the Heat 1 win over to Bo Albert as the checkered flag waves. Logitech G Altus Esports already back on top when it comes to the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. Through NASCAR 3 and 4, Marcel Fritsch holds the transfer spot. What's the 237 gonna do? Not gonna have enough time, and give the transfer spot over to Marcel Fritsch and Tom Bingham, the only AM driver to qualify into the feature race off of the Heat, finishing in P7.
Yeah, an excellent drive there from Tom Bingham. Obviously, we did say at the start, you know, the big thing for the AM Championship is trying to get your car into that A final. And if you can, you're going to have a decent points haul over the rest of the AM field. So, as you were saying, vital for the AMs to get in there. But we saw some really great racing there. And that's what we were saying when we were watching Hignett, where he didn't actually commit to the corner coming down into turns 10, 11, and 12. And we saw a perfect example of how to do it from Albert to overtake Roger Christensen going down into that corner and got the position done. So that was an excellent example how it done, but some really good racing and some unfortunate people getting hit out at the start of the race that is going to put a bit of pressure on them in the Consolation.
And the lights starting to come on around the Charlotte Roval as we cross over into 7:10 sim time. It's time for heat number 2. Matthew Quarana going to start on the pole with Thiago Vivacao to his outside. Chris Shorter, Arkadiusz Steko on 4th place. Scott Mokes going to round out that top 5 with Michael Stogbauer, Daniel Porter, Thomas Wangen, Mikey Pollard, and Philip Hammer rounding out your top 10. Daniel Porter, your top of the AM class when it comes to the starting grid. Kevin Stringer, James Parker, Darren Fell, Martin Spalek, a familiar name here in the series, of Dennis Meisner rounding out the top 15, and we are green and underway. A great start on the outside for Vivacao. He's going to try and get the early jump, and he does into turn number 1. The Tom's Heartburn turn, they go right on by it, but Quarana gonna fight back on the inside, still side by side for the race lead as they go through the first couple of corners, but into the infield for the first time. It's Quarana pulling away. Now to the outside of Vivacao goes Shorter. Shorter gonna have to get out of the gas, as to the inside of him goes Stacao down the back straightaway.
Yeah, definitely. All the cars in the top 6 have managed to keep their position. They start with a few bit of battle in there at the start, so a great start there, but a great recovery back from Crowder to try and get that first place back, and he's got a straight track in front of him. And now what I think drivers have got to contend with is obviously we're going to be starting to get a little bit darker as these races progress on, as we see the cars with the current lights on at the moment. So that's going to be an added hindrance to the driver as we watch trying to get down the inside, coming down into this corner of 10, 11 and 12, and makes it move quite well, and obviously pushes the car of 177 out wide. Oh, a big incident there coming off the end.
A huge stack up off of that backstretch chicane. Stogbauer and Stacao involved. 2 of the fastest pro drivers when it comes to this heat just got taken out like that. Daniel Porter now leading a huge line of cars through the front stretch chicane. And there's your battle for the transfer. It's James Parker that currently has it. Darren Fell trying to get around, with Dennis Meisner looking in as well. Side by side now to the inside goes Meisner on Fell. Gonna try and go for that spot as he sees Parker starting to stack up in front of him with traffic. The 132 gonna hold on to P9 for the moment as we stay on board with the 213.
Yeah, so our top AM at the moment is currently Porter in 4th place, and we've got a second AM in the top 8, Stringer. So from them incidents that we had in the first lap coming around the infield, 10, 11 and 12, is put a few of the AMs now up into the mix. So they're certainly going to be rubbing shoulders as we watch a big spin there between Chadwick and I think it's Meisner, wasn't it, that got hit there. So unfortunately Meisner came off the worst and currently down in P16. So this heat's getting certainly a lot heated than the first one.
Oh, look at the spin coming out from the 252. That's Kevin Stringer that went around. And he's going to get it back going straight, not hitting any tire barriers, but that was a very tough spot to spin there. Luckily did not make contact with anybody. Stogbauer now trying to rebound from that incident off of the backstretch chicane. He's back up into P15. Inside now, 10 minutes to go. Stogbauer Now trying to get himself back up into those transfer spots. A long way to go. Just looking at the timing sheet, it's about 4.5 seconds up to the transfer spot of P8. Now holds Darren Fell in that spot in the 132. So a lot of time to be made up for Stogbauer, but as he continues to fight through this traffic, hopefully he can find an easy way around him, because it looks like he is faster than most of the guys closer to the back.
Yeah, the current, obviously, Porsche and the current race leader is the only one to get in the 117s at the moment. He's at 117.48, but the rest of the field's doing low 118s at the moment. So slightly pulling away in this race, but we had expected him to see that because he was in the top 2 of the qualifying standards, so a very quick driver. So currently 1.4 seconds ahead of Shorter in second place, and Viviana in third place at 2.7. So a little bit of gap between 2 and 3. And 4, but then there's a big, huge, long train from 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9th. So all to play for from 5th down to 10th at the moment. So these top positions are certainly not secure by any means.
Taking a look, battle for 4th place. Thomas Wangen currently holds that spot. Daniel Porter trying to take it away. Battle for the lead. Not too much of a battle right now. Matthew Caruana currently holds that spot. 1.2 seconds the gap, and a huge mistake for Caruana last time by. Led a almost 1 second faster lap time from Chris Shorter, who currently sits P2 in the 133. With the gap, it's not too much of a change as of right now. They raced to the back straight away. Shorter still able to hold on to P2, Caruana able to hold on to P1, but not a lot of moving around in that middle gap. Here's the battle for the transfer. Darren Fell currently holds P8 with Dave Chadwick now trying to catch up to him and trying to not make it 2 for 2, where only one AM driver has gone in to the feature race off of the heats. The first one had Daniel Porter, we have Daniel Porter currently here in the top 8 of this heat, and Chadwick trying to make it 2 AM drivers, but Fell is starting to pull away as Cesar Cabral has a huge battle behind him between him and Mokes.
Yeah, there's a big long train from 10th, 11th and 12th all the way down, covered by less than a second at the moment. So really fighting it over. They want to be working together to try and get on the back of Chadwick at the moment. And Chadwick's is just off the slipstream of Fell as well, so he's going to be getting a bit frustrated as well, because he won't be able to close that gap on Fell, who's currently in 8th place. But we watch a big move there by Michael Stogbauer in 12th place on Mokes as he comes around to the first part of the track on this Charlotte Motor Speedway. So we see a big gaggle of cars here, all the way from Cabral all the way down to sort of Mokes coming on this bit. So we're real heated from 11th all the way from 10th all the way down to 14th at the moment. So certainly where the battle is on the moment, but this is going to pay into the hands of the top 8, and certainly that 8th place is that the gap has just seemed to be getting bigger and bigger. Currently about 5 seconds from these guys here in 10th place up to Fell in 8th, which is the automatic qualifying for the A-class final.
They were 3 wide for a moment going through the middle infield portion as well, as we go on board with Philip Hammer trying to get around Cesar Cabral for a top 10 finish. He looks to the outside. Look at Cesar Cabral with a huge block, and he's going to block him again going into the front stretch chicane. Philip Hammer trying to find any possible way around the U-Race BR number 170. Now joining the fight is Stogbauer, and they are swapping positions all around, as it looks like Pravda might have had an incident on the front straightaway. They're slow down into P16. We rejoin the battle for P10. Cesar Cabral, Philip Hammer, Michael Stogbauer, Scott Mokes, Dennis Meisner, all in this fight. You can go back to Kevin Stringer as well, back there in P15. All running together through the infield section. Lights still continuing to come on. Those headlights will become important as the sun continues to set. Cabral still holds P10. You're on board with Meisner in the middle of the Hornet's Nest.
Yeah, definitely. It's vitally important, even though those guys might not make it through to the A-class final. It'd be vital to get them extra positions, to put them into a good position in the consolation round, because obviously their finishing position in the race will be the positions that they get into the consolation round. So, you know, the higher up you can get onto the back of that 8th place, the better placed you're going to be in the consolation round to give you the best shot to get through as one of the fastest 6th place finishers in that consolation. As we currently watch Michael Stolbar obviously had an incident in the first couple of laps and put him well down the order, but he's certainly making a move and making his way back up through the field, so he certainly could have 10th place, and then obviously be chasing down Chadwick in 9. But currently watching Chris Shorter, who's managed to get past Coruña on probably the previous lap, but Coruña is right on the back of a 0.3 of a second, but then we got Vicuña behind him in 3rd place, 0.7. So these top 3 pulling away from 4th place, currently about 3 seconds ahead of them, but there's certainly a big battle to who's going to win this race at the moment.
Battle for the lead just went over to Chris Shorter as Matthew Caruana going to surrender that lead to the Impulse Racing number 133. Side by side for P2, and it looks like there might be an incident that happened with Matthew Caruana as Viva Kwa goes right on by in that number 177. Dude, does the 199 now, Luxsim 24 Esports machine, have some damage, maybe have some problems in that car? He's right in the slipstream now, trying to take that spot back, just not able to do it, and that is going to keep the 177 there in P2 with only just a handful of laps now left here in this race.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's a very fast driver, is Grannon in 3rd place, but he's had a couple of incidents. You know, he was pulling out like a second and a half on the first couple of laps, then had a big incident that lost the second, and I think he's just having too many incidents at the moment, but currently still in 3rd place, so we'll have a good position in the A-Class final at the moment, and he's got about 2 seconds over Wangan in 4th place, so, you know, he just needs to keep it on the back of these guys in front and just try and see if he can keep up with them and try not to lose any more places. But Porter currently in 4th place is our top as we watch a bit of an incident here going down the back straight.
See what happened. It looks like on the front stretch chicane, a little bit of side by side, and around goes Meisner in the 213. There was contact with the 296 of Martin Spalek, and Spalek now scored in P18. Did he have a completely separate incident here? Let's see. He's going over the crest, and looks like he has just moved up and off of the racetrack there in P18. Chris Shorter holds the lead, or he was a lap down, excuse me, so he still will remain in P18, 1 lap down off of the pace, and Stogbauer has more issues in the 111. As the field comes across the line, I believe we will go around for 2 more, so we have 2 laps to go. Let's see what happened with Stogbauer's second incident on the backstretch for chicane for him today. Goes right over the turtle curbs and hard into the outside wall.
Yeah, just too much of that curve coming into that corner, and as we saw there, literally all 4 wheels got off the tarmac, and he was a sitting duck for that wall on the outside. Easily done around that corner. Obviously pushing really hard, and he was doing quite well. You know, looking at 10th, maybe looking at 9th, trying to get that position. But unfortunately now he's currently in P18 all the way down, lap down, and currently sat in the pit. So his round is certainly going to be in the consolation, but he's going to be at the back of the field in the consolation, which is going to make it really tough for him to try and get through into them top 6 positions, as they're starting to see a little bit of a gap here between the front 3 with Shorter, Vicuña in 2nd place, nearly a second behind her, and Caruña in 3rd place at the moment, a further second behind Vicuña. Wangan at the moment still trying to get onto the back of Caruña, but is not really making much of an inroad, and as we're currently probably going to only have 1 lap left of this race, I think it's going to be status quo at the top unless there's a grave error by one of the drivers in the front 3.
9 seconds. They do take the white flag here. 1 more lap around the Charlotte Roval here in heat number 2. There's 5th place, Daniel Porter. He is currently the only AM driver in the top 8. And we are looking to make it 2 heats in a row where only 1 driver from the AM class has qualified automatically in. Remember, we still do have a consolation race in the feature coming up. So still plenty of racing left today here on Apex Racing TV for you to tune into for the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. There's the gap for that transfer spot, and has not changed too much in the last 5 laps, and it's going to require a mistake from Darren Fell for Dave Chadwick to work his way up into that transfer. But out in front, Chris Shorter for Impulse Racing. We always know Impulse Racing is going to be fast when it comes to these Porsches, definitely showing that they have speed in these 992s as well. through the final 2 corners. NASCAR 3 and 4. They'll roar onto the front straightaway into the front stretch chicane. Does Viva Qua have anything to show for Shorter? He does not. It is Chris Shorter for Impulse Racing taking the Heat 2 win.
Wangan managed to get past Coruña as well for 3rd place, so Coruña must have had another incident on that last lap which dropped him down to 4th place. So, you know, from starting off in the pole, going all the way down to 4th place. But Porter, great drive there from Porter, obviously getting a 5th as hopefully. We'll see a replay of what happened.
See what happened with Thomas Wangan, Fox Gaming 116. Another backstretch chicane incident. Seems to be a pretty similar area, and it looks like the car in front of him got up and out of the groove. Not sure who that was. That's Matthew Quarana that got up out of the groove. So a disastrous final half of that heat for Quarana in the Lex Sim 24 esports machine. Luckily, however, only finished in P4, so he will still live on another day in the future. It's time for the Consolation. We're going to take 6 drivers here from the Consolation instead of the 8 that we had in the heats. And Yannick Heignet going to lead the field to green with Dave Chadwick to his outside. 2 AM drivers on the front row with Emil Vinbo, Philip Hammer, Nicola Forza Lippi rounding out your top 5. Scott Mokes, Nikolay Polyakov, Cesar Cabral, Oliver Holtzek with Kevin Stringer rounding out your top 10. Gordon Oberman, Pushastaya Pravda, Henning Stuhlinger, Dennis Meisner, and Craig Salter rounding out the top 15 with Arkadiusz Stako, Aaron Smith, Martin Spalek, Dave Noonan, Michael Stogbauer, and Luke McKeown rounding out the 21 drivers getting ready to take the green flag here from the Charlotte Roval in the Consolation. We're taking 6 drivers, the same amount of time, 12 minutes of racing we have on deck here in the Consolation. Andy, this one's going to be exciting. We're only taking 6, but there is 21 drivers going for these spots. The lights are up and they are out. We're racing to 1.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a real tight match. It's going to be a lot heated than the rest of the round. We see a spin at the back of the ways, and Dave Chadwick had a terrible start. Started in 2nd place all the way down to 6th place at the moment. So on that cut-off position currently at the moment, and moves down into 7th. So big issues here into the first corner. As we expected on this Consolation round, everyone's fighting to get in that top 6 positions. They've got nothing to lose, and we're seeing complete carnage at the moment on the track. So a lot of the drivers will already be out of contention. So it's just trying to keep it clean within this Consolation and just making sure you get into that 6th place. So I'm expecting a lot of incidences and a lot of lunges in this round, that's for sure.
Up and on to NASCAR 1 and 2. It's Heignet that holds the lead. Vinbo, Hammer, your top 3. Stickow currently holds that transfer spot as Stuhlinger tries to catch up from P7, but you can see just the amount of cars that are all going for these spots. Luke McKeown now going to go into P7 as Stuhlinger stuck on the outside. Here comes Meisner to the bottom. You're on board with him in the 213. Into the backstretch chicane. Everybody gets through cleanly as the 213 will continue on in P8. Another close battle in between Dave Chadwick and Stickow here. Chadwick going to hold on to that spot, but take a look at the dive up the inside. Give that spot now to the number 126 machine. Up 11 spots from where they started overall. Stickow is on a rail right now.
Yeah, the one to watch, I think, for me is Luke McCowan, currently in 7th place, up 14th position. Started at the back of the grid, but we knew he was an exceptionally quick driver, finishing the top 2 of the qualifying, but unfortunately had that incident around there. So watch out for him for coming through the field. And at the moment on the cut-off point is Dave Chadwick of Performance Link Esports, currently in 6th place. McCowan's about 2 seconds off him at the moment, 3 seconds off him. So he's got a little bit of ground to make up. But McEwen's certainly on a charge at the moment, doing we haven't got last lap. His best lap at the moment was only a 131, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be down into the 117. So Dave is obviously going to have his work cut out, having Luke McCowan coming from behind in 7th place, who's certainly on the charge at the moment. But a great recovery there from Chadwick. Obviously, he had an absolutely horrendous first couple of corners there, and got himself down to 8th place, but has managed to pull himself back up into 6th place and not far back off the 5th place. As we watch the race win here, Wimbo all over the back of Hignett, who is the top arm at the moment and currently in P1, but Wimbo wants that win to put him up into that A-class final into a decent position.
Now remember, We are doing heat racing here in this round for the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. There is points up for grabs when it comes to the heat races. So even if 7th through 21st is eliminated here in the Consolation, it looks like Stringer, Stogbauer, and Mokes now are pretty much guaranteed to be eliminated. I'd even go as far as to say Pravda probably guaranteed to be eliminated. They will still get points off of their heat, so they will not have a full 0 or a goose egg in the points coming out of this round. They will still have points, but going into the overall finish in the A final, then followed by the positions in the B final. So they will also get points for the Consolation, just a lot less than they would get if they even make it into the feature. So making it into the feature, Andy, and not even starting is better than if you don't make the feature at all, which is why we're going to see some intense battles around this transfer spot, not only here at Charlotte, but all season long.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is one of 2 formats we've got in this season. So this is a format B at the moment. We've got this race, and we have got a format A, which is just 2 25-minute races. So a bit of a mix-up in the season. We see Wimble there getting into the wall there, coming out of the last corner over the start-finish space. So Hignat at the moment doing a really good job getting down into the 117.9s at the moment. Wimble, that last lap was a 118. The rest of them around him around 117, and then obviously starting to fall away from the time from P4 down. But as I said, Luke McCowan, the fastest lap there at the moment, a 117.5. So certainly the man on the charge, and I would expect him to make his way up through the field. You know, I'd expect him to sort of get to that 4th place position by the end of this race with the race pace that he does have. But exactly as you said, Josh, it's it's vital to get positions in this, and it's even more vital to try and get into that A final, like you said, because as we've seen tonight, there's a bit of carnage on any one of the corners, and you can go from mid-pack to the front of the pack, which is obviously vital points. And certainly, as you mentioned at the start, for the AM Championship, if you get into that A final and there's only a couple of you, you're going to be pulling a good lead and a good points haul for that round of the championship, and will put you in good stead for the overall championship for the AMs.
And where we're at right now, we're looking at 3 AM drivers competing in the feature race tonight, Hignett being one of them, and the 2 that advanced in from our heats. And just looking at that, 3 drivers out of the, I think we had some maybe 15 to around 20 AM drivers registered for this event. That is a ton of drivers that are going to be earning minimum points, while the 3 other AM drivers go racing for up to 80 points. That comes from the overall finishes in the feature race. So that is going to be a huge advantage for those 3 AM drivers. Doesn't count anybody else out, especially coming out of round number 1, but definitely an interesting storyline to follow. So we get a replay of Martin Spalik back in P15. Let's see what happened. Dive up to the inside. That's the 242, and they make contact, and they slam into each other. That was a 240, excuse me, of Nikolay Polyakov. But on board now, Luke McGowan getting squeezed to the apron as the 170 tries to hold off that spot. That's Cesar Cabral, but the Logitech G Altus Esports machine of the 122 going up the inside. He'll take P5.
Yeah, this is the lottery that you play. Do you push on to try and improve your positions, or do you try and consolidate the position you got there? As we saw, nearly could have ended terribly there for Luke McKeown going into that corner, literally just getting squeezed on the inside as we watch a replay of that. So gets a really good run out of the corner and has already got that slipstream, putting down to the inside, and Cabral just comes down to squeeze him, but unfortunately Luke's already on his inside and forces him back up the track and gets the position done. But the risky game in this Consolation, you get one hit and come down, you haven't got another chance to get into that A final. But great move there by Luke McCowan, and obviously currently up 16th place, or highest mover in the grid in P5, and chasing down P4 at the moment.
Over halfway done, inside of 5 minutes left here in the Consolation. Remember, we're going to add 3 minutes to that clock in the feature, go from 12 minutes to 15, and go racing for one final race tonight, where they'll leave it all on the line. All the marbles are on the table. They'll go for the win in the feature, and the lights continue to go down, and the artificial lights around the stadium, around the track, I should say, starting to come up. The headlights on the race cars turn on as we cross past into 7:39 in sim time. You can see the track temperature also starting to fall. A clear night here in virtual Charlotte as we see more drivers battling into the backstretch chicane, and Polyakov goes way over the turtle curbs. He completely missed that first corner. He'll have to give that time back.
Yeah, definitely. That's not how to take them corners, that's for sure. They look deceptively low, but as soon as you hit them, you certainly know you've hit them. As we saw there, you're literally a sitting duck, and you lose so much time. Oh, as he takes a big hit there and takes out those. Is that his teammate? No, it's not his teammate. It's just same sort of colour livery, but Nikolai have come off worse there. So 2 incidents in the space of about 2 corners there, which puts him right down the field at the moment. And Oliver Hockey is managing 12th place, so steadily gaining up the positions at the moment. But out front, we've got Emil Wimbo, 1.2 seconds behind Hignett. He's had a fantastic round this way, being the top of the pro and managing to keep that position. So a bit of an incident here. So Wimbo trying to come down the turn 3, I think this is, coming into the infield section of the track. So coming around before going out onto the outside, onto the oval. He's trying to push him, but Heeman's doing a fantastic job of keeping him at bay, and Wimbo's pushing it, as we can see, because he's constantly hitting the wall on the outsides.
Emil Wimbo with a great run so far here in the Consolation. Looks like they might have had some off time there on the backstretch chicane, or Dave Noonan might have had an incident here on the infield, and yes, he did. Goes a little bit too far up and over, hits the curb, and around he goes in the number 292. Continuing on with the Consolation, we are about to go inside of 3.5 minutes remaining, or 2.5 minutes, excuse me, with Cesar Cabral still holding on to that transfer spot. Dave Chadwick trying to catch back up, but he's making up a bit of time on the last lap, made up about 2.5 tenths, but he's going to need a lot more than that, as I believe we have roughly about maybe 3 or 2 to go as it gets tight on the exit of turn 6. That's Meisner battling with Stollinger. Meisner battling with Chadwick. You're on board with Meisner now in the 213, looking up at the 217, the Canadian Performance Link Esports machine of Dave Chadwick.
Yeah, this is not going to be going well for Dave at the moment, trying to get that position to 6th place of Cabral in trying to chase it down, but he's obviously having to defend really hard from Meisner in 8th place, and the gap's just leading at the moment, currently at just under 4 seconds. So it's going to be a really tall order here now as we watch Meisner on the back of Jade Chadwick. That will have that slipstream effect coming down into this, so it'll be interesting to see what Meisner does to Dave Chadwick, who's currently sat in 7th place. As keep it nice and clean through this corner. There's no real places. Oh, a mistake there by Jade Chadwick that gives Meisner the 7th position. So unfortunate for Dave there, got a bit flustered going into that corner, over speed, and couldn't make that corner, so took the right course of action and went onto the sort of slip road that's coming off that corner there.
So with 1 minute remaining, they will take the white flag this time by here at Virtual Charlotte. No battle for the lead, no battle for the transfer, so it looks like this top 6 is pretty set in stone. Of course, anything can happen here in the last 2 laps, but some very consistent runs from all of your top 6, being set to put themselves into the feature and create a 22 car field. And Philip Hammer goes off track, gonna lose out on a handful of spots. He'll hold on to P5, and now a little bit of time being gained by Cesar Cabral that might put him back into P6, but still a little bit over 4 seconds separating those two as Hignett takes the white flag.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing that, as you can see on track, is getting darker by every minute that passes, and this feature race will almost certainly at some point within that race go into a night race. So something new for the guys to contend with as you watch Philip Hammer there taking full effect of each of the corners and trying to get that straight line as he puts it on the inside of the Chorus performance car there. As great move going into that corner of Philip Hammond. A great show there of how to take the corners right and right on the ragged limit.
So here's what happened with Hammer. Just looks like he outbraked himself into the corner, locked it up, tried to make the corner, had to go around those turtle curves, gave up a little bit of time back to iRacing, and he was set and poised back to go. Onto the back straightaway goes Yannick Hignett. Don't think we were expecting an AM driver to be up front of this Consolation, but take a look at this. We do have one in the 237 machine. All 5 pro drivers who are currently on the lead lap sit in 2nd through 6th, but it's an AM driver that leads the field. And through NASCAR 4 onto the front straightaway. And the Privateer is going to take the win in the Consolation. It's the 237 of Yannick Hagnet. They win the Consolation, lock themselves into tonight's feature race, followed by an incident. Vidbo goes slamming into the wall. He had contact with Sicko. Is he going to make it across the line? Here comes Cesar Cabral. He might take that spot. They might make contact. Can he get across the line? Where's the next car? Photo finish. He got it! Dennis Meisner just took the 6th spot away from Vidbo at the line!
Oh my god, that was on a knife edge there, and you could just see him struggling, thinking, I need to just turn this car around, I can't get it round, and oh no, absolute, you can just see him spinning it there, just trying to get it round, and oh, unfortunately, he just couldn't get that car around. Obviously, front end damage there, and Meisner, thanking his lucky stars, just seeing it here, trying to squeeze him out, but manages to just fit through the gap there and take the checkered flag just in front of Emil Wimbo. Oh no, that's an absolute terrible way to bow out to the Consolation, but great there for Dennis Meisner. So 2 AMs from the Consolation round go through to the A final. So we have 4 AMs overall that are going to be in this A final. Wow, what a race there at the end.
Absolutely unbelievable at the line. Man, that makes it. We thought we were going to have only 3 AM drivers in. We have 4 AM drivers now here in the feature race as we get ready for the warm-up to get underway. And we are going to step away for a moment here on Apex Racing TV. It's feature time when we come back. You're tuning into coverage of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship live on Apex Racing TV. Welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship live on Apex Racing TV. Joshua Lee, Andy Thompson, Marco Barbonera down in the production trailer. And Andy, we have gone through the heats. We have gone through the Consolation. We have the 22 best of the day. They're getting ready to go racing here in the feature. What are you expecting? Expecting much of the same, or are you expecting them to get even more aggressive than we've already seen today?
I think they probably will get aggressive. They might try and keep it clean for the start, but certainly when it gets towards that latter stage of the race, they're going to be trying to get the positions they can. But one thing they have got to take into consideration, certainly for the AM drivers that are currently racing in this, is they're just trying to race for that position that they want to be in. You know, they're going to get a decent point haul for being in the A-class final, but yeah, it's going to be an absolute race. And obviously, as we can see on screen now, it's completely dark or going dark over in Charlotte, so it's going to add an added spice into what is already going to be a spicy 15-minute race.
Bo Albert, Chris Shorter, your 2 heat winners start on the pole. Roger Christensen, Thiago Vivacqua on that second row. Max Kessler, Thomas Wangen, Lewis Ward, Matthew Corana, Jesse Hylano, and Daniel Porter rounding out your top 10. Back from there, Joe Vigard, Gotterstad, Mikey Pollard, Tom Bingham, James Parker, Marcel Fritsch rounding out the top 15 with Darren Fell, Yannick Heignet, your Consolation Race winner. Stakal back there with Luke McEwen, Philip Hammer, Cesar Cabral, and Dennis Meisner barely getting in at the last minute from the Consolation. 22 drivers ready to go. The revs are up and a jump start further back. I don't know who that was, but they might be getting a black flag for that one. But it's lights out. We're racing down into turn number 1. Albert holds the lead. Backing into the corner to the inside goes the 171 of Christensen. He's going to take over that second spot. It's Shorter, Wangen, Kessler now racing into the infield of Charlotte. Side by side further back. Not sure. I believe that was the Impulse Racing Machine of Max Kessler that ended up jumping the start there. We'll see if he gets a black flag.
Yeah, definitely. So the biggest mover there was Thomas Wangen, managed to make it up 2 places at the moment from 6th into 4th place. So our biggest gainer in the top half of the field, with Matthew Karuna as well, obviously starting in 8th, getting up to 6th place at the moment. But, you know, this opening lap, getting the tyres warmed up, getting used to obviously driving in the nighttime driving around here. I'd expect him to be a little bit hesitant and cautious, but certainly after the second lap, then that's when the racing will really start up in this. But we can see the top 4 covered by 1 second at the moment, so a big train. A little bit of a gap there back to Kessler in 5th place at the moment, only 0.7 of it, about a second off 4th place at the moment. But we've got 2 little trains starting to appear on track, but the action will all start heating up, certainly at the front, where we've got 2 very quick drivers of Albert and Christiansen, who will bat it out all the way to the checkered flag, and Shorter is right on their tailpipes as well, with Wangen trying to get up there at about 0.4 of a second back at the moment.
Side-by-side battle going into the corner. The 166 going to look up the inside of Daniel Porter. That's Gotterstad trying to get around the privateer of Porter. Still side-by-side. Never mind. He's going to get him cleared going into turn number 3. First corner on the infield section. Now right to the back bumper of the 48 goes Lewis Ward. Lewis Ward for Team 11, one of the veterans of this series. We're used to seeing him around these Porsche Cup championships. Doesn't look like he missed a beat at all with these 922s, running a solid top 10 right now. Has lost 2 spots from where he started in P8, but nothing to slouch at. He's still keeping up with these front guys.
Yeah, one of the good things is all the AM drivers actually made up positions. So Daniel Porter's made up 1 position. Tom Bingham has made up 2 positions, currently 11th. And Yannick Hignick is in 13th at the moment, making 5 places up at the moment. But Luke Keown at the moment is obviously started at the back of the grid because he had a terrible incident in the first heat, but is managing to get his way through the field at the moment. But the AMs will all soon be in a big long line together, so I'm pretty sure we'll have a fight for the top AM very shortly with Daniel, Tom Bingham and Yannick, as Max Kessler have a big incident there and moving down the position now, going down from the Impulse Racing guy as watching off the start.
It was the jump start. There it is. Yeah. There. He got clocked by iRacing with the black flag, and he is forced to serve it. So he comes in. That is going to ruin his positions on the racetrack. Not sure if he's going to lose one to Meisner or not. Doesn't look like he will. So that'll keep him P21, but that is going to already put him much farther behind the 8 ball than I think he wants to be. There's Meisner out on the racetrack. Looks like he might end up getting around him. It's going to be a side-by-side battle for this 21st spot when they exit the pit lane. Kessler's able to get back out in time as McEwen goes right on by Hilaho. On board now with the team Shazoo number 145. Getting a little bit of a draft from McEwen. Tom Bingham, another one of those AM drivers, able to get around for P10, up 3 spots overall. But take a look, forcing his way to the bottom goes McEwen in the Logitech G Altus Esports machine. Performance League Esports on the outside, contact contact made, and around goes McCowan.
That's one of the things you got to be aware of when going in, trying to make that move into that corner. Is if you're trying to cut off the car that's right on your inside, you know, you run the risk of seeing what we happen there and the back end of your car getting clipped. And unfortunately, you know, he was trying to get his recovery drive after obviously a poor round to start off with, and unfortunately he's been spun round towards the back of the field, currently in 19th place at the moment. So not the best as we watch a replay here coming down on the inside. So still not quite in front of Tom Bingham at the moment. So Tom trying to give him the space, trying to give him out, but obviously, you know, Luke came right across him and cut him off. And unfortunately, I think that was a racing incident there, if I was to call it. But yeah, it's the risk you play by trying to get that position into that corner.
That is a huge risk. And oh my, the 237 gets slammed into the outside wall. Luckily, safer barrier on that, and luckily this is virtual racing, so no real life harm to HighNet. But man, what a tough hit for that number 237, and what a great drive from the Consolation. That's going to put him out of this race in the pit lane as well. So unfortunate for the 237. Battle for the lead, not much right now, as Bo Albert currently holds the spot. Roger Christensen sits P2. Chris Shorter, Thomas Wangen, Matthew Carana gonna round out the top 5 is the 48 looking to the outside of Lewis Ward, and Tom Bingham watching further back, side by side onto the front straightaway. 2 AM drivers fighting for that spot. A little bit of help from the grass. That's going to keep Daniel Porter. Sorry, that is going to keep Lewis Ward ahead of Daniel Porter. Tom Bingham a little bit further back there in P10 as we get a good look at Thomas Wangen battling from P5.
Yeah, that was a great thing from Lewis Ward there, getting right out onto the green strip on the left-hand side to get that easy access into that corner to try and keep that position over Porter. But Porter and Bingham at the moment currently in 9th and 10th place, so you know the next one down, which is unfortunate, was Hignett, and Meisner I think is just glad that he's actually in this race from the extraordinary feat we saw in the Consolation round there. But you know, great round there from Porter and Bingham at the moment, doing a sterling job in 9th and 10th. And it won't be long, hopefully, before we have them 2 battling out together. So it'd be great to see 2 AMs battling out together in the A-Class final. But at the moment, watching at the front of the grid with Albert still managing to keep the lead over Christensen in 2nd place, only 0.4 of a second. And I think this first place is not going to get stretched out by any further than that. So it's all going to be down to who's the bravest and who's going to take that lunge into certain corners, I think, coming into these last 9 minutes of this race, so a good 4 or 5 laps left.
On board with Roger Christensen, the 171. Still trying to chase down Bo Albert. It has been the story of these 2 drivers for pretty much the entire day. I mean, you can talk about Bo Albert and Roger Christensen. They went battling in the first heat. They have been battling since the drop of the green flag here in the feature. They are the 2 fastest drivers in this race. Bo Albert just a little bit faster than Roger Christensen. Albert just set his purple lap time last time by, a 1:17.53. Safe to say, the Logitech G Altus Esports number 143 has got this track and this new car figured out. Tom Bingham in P10. Now he has a whole swarm of cars behind him. That's James Parker, Philip Hammer, Arkadiusz Stekiao also in this fight. Cesar Cabral a little bit further back as we get a battle for 3rd. Carano looks like he wants to try and get around Chris Short.
Yeah, definitely a big fight here for 3rd place at the moment. Bit of a gap between Christian and Shorter at the moment, 1.4 seconds back. But this is the main battle here for 3rd place at the moment. With Karina trying to get past Shorter any way he can, but obviously some good defensive lines coming from Shorter, trying to hold up Cabrera, but what that's going to do is just let the front 2 get away even closer. Just a quick shout out to one of our main sponsors, Apex Racing Academy. They have 29 data packs full of setups, track guides. It's fully integrated with virtual racing school. They have weekly group coaching sessions, plus many more. Head over to apexracingac.com for more information as we watch Cabrera just diving up the inside and managing to get the position of Shorter there. Great overtaking move there as we saw that.
Still battling for P3, Carana versus Chris Shorter. A great run for Carana so far here in the feature, up 5 spots from where they started, and They started back in 8th after a little bit of issues in their heat, as it looks like this 4-car battle with James Parker at the front did lead to a bit of contact. Parker goes to the inside of, it looks like, the 285 of Tom Bingham and gets squeezed out. One door tap is all it takes, and right on back around goes Tom Bingham. So that line continuing to run close together and continuing to fight, as to the outside goes James Parker into the backstretch chicane. What are they going to do? Side by side, covers off the spot goes Bingham, and the Performance League Esports 285 is going to hold on to that top 10 spot. What a drive for Tom Bingham here in the middle portion of the feature race tonight.
Yeah, definitely. He's certainly going to be made to earn that 10th place off him in that moment, doing an excellent defensive job, just holding off Parker in 11th, and obviously we got Stekau in 12th and Hammer in 13th place. So, you know, they're all quite close, Parker and Stekov, to Bingham, and just trying to get past him. But at the moment, Tom's got some really good defensive line and is holding them up at the moment, so doing a great job. I certainly know him personally, so he's going to be in his rig with his tongue out and concentrating very hard, just trying to keep that 10th place position, as he currently loses out to Parker. Parker goes around the outside, so just slots in behind him, and currently in 11th place at the moment, but coming fighting back as well. Oh, bit of an incident there, and the two of them can't, and oh no, all four of them, and obviously the field will come through. Tom manages to keep it going, but the back two are facing the wrong way going down that corner, so absolute disaster there.
So here's the replay of that contact, and we knew eventually this could lead to some issues, and it looks like it did. That is met right in the middle there, Andy. I don't think you can put blame on either one of those drivers, just both fighting for the same real estate, and that real estate ran out very quickly, and before any of them could react, the real estate was gone.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, it's just one of them things when you're that close racing, that defending that hard, you know, 9 times out of 10 you are going to have some little door rubbing incidences there, but unfortunately a little bit too much, and both the cars got spun out there, and unfortunately put paid to a really good end to this race for Tom and for Parker as well. They're having a really good battle there for 10th place, as we currently watch with Stekau in 13th with Frisch just right in front of him. So at the moment, Bingham's sat in 14th, Porter in 9th place, so he's pretty much staying going. He's got a massive gap over 10th place at the moment, so you're talking 18 seconds. Porter has got a gap from 9th to 10th place, so really good race for him at the moment, as we watch Chris Stekov trying to get past Frisch for 12th place.
On board with Stekau, and you can see just how much they're starting to really fight these cars. And we talked earlier about, you know, the differences between the 911 and the 992. They race a lot similar. I mean, you're really fighting the car each and every lap. It's hard to be comfortable in these Porsches, Andy, because they're always just wanting to fight you, and you always sort of need to be more aggressive with this car to get it to do what you want it to do. And as we see Hialaho hold off Max Kessler here, just everybody, it's rare that they're ever comfortable when they're in the car. They're always fighting, always trying to get over a sort of a hump that they have to beat in the car, because this car is so difficult to get right and drive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously they said the old style Porsche was certainly the driver's car, no ABS or any driver aids like the GT3 GTEs have, so it's a purist car with no ABS or anything, and obviously this is following in a similar suit. So very much a driver's car where, you know, it takes a lot to get the most out of this car, but I think it's highly satisfying as a driver if you can sort of master this level of car and get the results out of it. But, you know, with that comes the other side of the coin, and you have the spins and you have the thing and get frustrated. You can't do the moves that you can do in the GT3 and GTE cars because of all the driver aids that they have over these cars. But, you know, it's great to see these guys out. Obviously for round one, it's going to be brand new car for them, but, you know, what a sterling night's activity we've been entertained with so far.
Already under 2 minutes to go. We'll be seeing the white flag when they come across next time by. But Bo Albert able to hold a consistent gap. I mean, take a look. It doesn't become more consistent than that from lap about 5 to 7. They were almost the exact same gap each time but past the line. And little bit of growth over the last handful of laps, but still keeping Bo Albert reeled in as Roger Christensen, which is not nearly enough to work his way up and into the lead. And it's also tough to make a move for that lead of all the things that we just mentioned. A little bit of a close battle between Gotterstad and Viva Qua back there in P6 and 7. His battle for the lead stays a little bit washed out. Fritsch and Stikau battling the 117 and the 126. WS Racing Esports Red and Evolve Racing. We know the Evolve Racing guys always have speed, and a new name here in the Porsche Cup Championship for Apex Racing Academy is Fox Gaming. Thomas Wangen, Joe Vigard, Gotterstad, and Roger Christensen, all very fast out here on the course. All three of those cars in the top 6. So the white flag is out for Bo Albert, the race leader.
Yeah, Christian's going to be itching to do better than what he did last season. So last season he finished second in the Pro Championship. So coming out for his second standing within this championship, and I bet he's itching to get that professional win under his belt, as we see him go really wide there coming out of turn number 3, going on the infield section, trying everything he can to try and get on the back of Albert. But certainly the lap times, there's absolutely nothing in it. You know, there was 0.07 to 0.01 to Christiansen on the last lap, so there's absolutely nothing in it. These guys are putting everything into this last lap to try and get it, but I think Albert's got this one run for Logitech G Altus Esports, but you know, good points all the same for Roger in second in Fox Gaming, and Matthew Carino is up 5 places in this feature race for Luxem 24 Esports. So you know, a great night's point haul for him after some of the issues he had at the start.
Working his way through NASCAR 4, looking to get the first win in a Porsche 992 in this championship, and the first win of season 4. Give it to Bo Albert, your overall and pro winner here from the Charlotte Roval. And there is your AM class winner, looking to finish P9 on the night. It is going to be Daniel Porter in the 48 machine. He'll take the early AM points lead as we have a side-by-side battle going on. Marcel Fritsch trying to hold off Cesar Cabral. Cabral going to go all the way to the apron to try and make the move. How is this going to work as they go into the final front stretch chicane? Still side-by-side, covers off the spot, maybe a little bit of contact, diving into the final corner, and Cabral's going to get all loose in the final corner, slams into Stikau at the line, but as they come across, give Fritsch 11th, Cabral 12th, Stikau 13th.
Yeah, fighting it out all the way down to the wires. We're still waiting for the next two AMs to come in, Bingham and Meisner. Bingham just managed to get over the lead, and Meisner, who's obviously 17th, as we saw at the start of that race, he was actually right at the back, but with all the incidents that we've had where we had Pollock, McHugh and Hignett and Hammer having big issues with that to go to the pits, managing to get P17th, so good point score for the AMs overall there, but you can't take it away from Bo Albert. Raced that from start to finish at the front with Roger breathing down his neck, so a great round there for Bo Albert in first place.
What a way to finish the opening round of season 4 of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. Bo Albert takes the win for Logitech G Altus Esports. Roger Christensen in P2, Matthew Carana in P3, Chris Shorter, Thomas Wangen rounding out your top 5. Joe Vigard, Gotterstad rounds out your top 6 with Thiago Vivacqua, Lewis Ward, Daniel Porter at the top of the AM class in P9 with Darren Fell rounding out your top 10. Marcel Fritsch, Cesar Cabral, Jesse Hialaho, James Parker, and Tom Bingham rounding out your top 15 with Dennis Meisner, Max Kessler, Arkadiusz Stikau rounding out your top 18. Philip Hammer, Mikey Pollard, top 20 with Luke McGowan and Yannick Hignett rounding out the 22 drivers who took the green flag here from virtual Charlotte at the Charlotte Roval for the first round of season 4 of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. Just like that, we've got Bo Albert waiting for us. We'll bring him up into the commentary booth. He's here with us now. Bo, what a start to season 4 of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. What does it mean to you? First win of the new season, putting Logitech G Altus Esports right to the top.
I think it's really, really good to sort of kick off the season with some really strong momentum. Of course, it's a brand new car. No one's really too sure what to expect when we jump into the new 992, but it's a really fun car. We've been enjoying it. And yeah, to kickstart the season with a win is a great effort for the team, even though I know as an overall, it wasn't the best day because obviously Luke had some issues, but I'm sure he'll bounce back, and for round 2, it'll be a good team effort.
And getting a good start in the championship as well. You're going to be leading the pro class, and a heat win on top of a feature race win is huge for the points. You're getting the maximum amount of points you possibly can. Going into the remainder of the season, what's your game plan now? Continue to be consistent, try and go for the wins, or maybe try and go for some consistent top 5s, top 10s, not really worry about getting the wins?
Yeah, no, I definitely, it's round 1. You can't get too ahead of yourself. So I think getting a win to start off the season is great. But one win's not going to win a championship. You obviously need to be consistent. But with a points format and with a field as strong as this, I think you do need some more wins on the board as well. So there's no relaxing into round 2 or any future rounds. It's definitely keep the pressure up, keep going for the wins if there's an opportunity to. And yeah, see what we can make of the season and sort of just try and build this momentum.
And going into the next round, brand new track with the Hungaro Ring. How much practice have you had on there? Because much like these Porsche 992s, they're only about a week and a half old here on the iRacing service. But round 2 at a brand new track. Do you have practice there yet? And how much time are you going to put in leading into the next round?
Well, I'm a little bit limited for time at the moment. I was only able to do about 15 practice laps before tonight, so I came in a little bit unsure of my pace, and I think that showed in qualifying. I didn't really hook the lap up. So practice hours aren't on my side with the Rallycross World Championship, which is the focus. So I think Hungaroring may be a little tricky for me. Obviously, those that are able to put the time into the Porsche and the Hungaroring may be able to get a bit of an edge on me. So it's going to be interesting to see how it races there. But obviously, we've seen how the real World Series go at the Hungaroring. It's crazy racing. It's always interesting turn ones, and I think it should be a pretty good event.
Well, thank you so much for joining us post-race here on Apex Racing TV. Bo, congratulations on your opening round win of the season.
Cheers, guys. Thank you for the broadcasting as well. Just a quick shout out as well to our sponsors at Logitech G and Virtual Racing School for all the support they give us.
Thank you very much. That's Bo Albert, your winner in the pro class and overall here from Virtual Charlotte. And as we begin to close out here, Andy, just a great start to the season. And to think we still have a bunch of rounds left. Hungaroring, Nürburgring, Road Atlanta, Road America, Motegi, Bathurst, and the Red Bull Ring still to go. A lot of different tracks and a good amount of tracks that are going to suit these Porsches and suit a lot of the racing that we saw today, which seemed to be aggression and inches apart.
Yeah, I think that's what this championship has in stores over probably many of the other championships have is, because it's only 12 minutes, you've literally got to lay your whole race on the line. Certainly when you get to that consolation round, it's sort of an all or nothing round. You've really got to try to go for it. So I'm expecting to see some real hot action throughout the whole season. And like you said, on the tracks that are coming up, some really good tracks. I'm especially looking forward to the next one, the Hungaroring, brand new on iRacing. So it'd be really interesting with having a brand new car on a brand new track with the same format that we've had tonight. So that is going to be an exception. It's either going to go really well or really terrible for the drivers. So it's going to be interesting to see what we come up there. But really looking forward to it. And big shout out to the AMs in the who managed to make it into that A final. Daniel Porter, Tom Bingham, and Dennis Meisner. Great points to score for them, and it puts them in good stead for the AM Championship going forward.
We do have one interview left for us here in the commentary box. Going to stand by with Andy Thompson. It's Tom Bingham, 16th overall, second place in the AM class today in the feature.
Hi Tom, welcome to the commentary booth. So interesting first one. You managed to get into that top 8 position into your heat. How was that for you, your heat?
My heat race was really good actually. Very difficult trying to keep up with some of the pros in this because they're just unfathomably quick. I was just driving my backside off the entire race, just trying to keep up with everybody basically.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously get that top automatic place into the A final. So you started off in the A final. You were having a really good battle with Parker out there, and unfortunately had an incident going in there. But we were watching you for quite a few laps on stream. How much were you feeling the cars behind you and the defending that you were doing?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I had Dave, my teammate, in the chat with me actually, and he said I've got over 12K's worth of iRating behind me. So that didn't help. You know, it's stressing me out a little bit, but no, it's good fun. It's the only way you can get better is to run with the faster guys, and they definitely were putting me under a lot of pressure for a long time. So it's just a shame that we had that one incident. Where we were coming over, it's sort of like a right hand, I don't know what turn it is, turn 6 or something. The one guy went wide onto the grass and I tried to avoid him on the right hand side. I tried to accelerate past, but I think I just clipped the front of him. I'm not too sure, I have to go back and watch it. So, but yeah, sweaty racing.
Yeah, we were watching it on the stream, and it was pretty much a 50-50. Both went for that same line going into that corner, and it was unfortunate. Obviously, you both got turned around and put paid, but I mean, obviously, still second in the AMs for tonight, puts you in good point stead in the AM Championship. Obviously, getting into the A final is the main aim for this championship for any of the AMs to get the decent points haul. So we've had a good round tonight around Charlotte here. We've got the Hungaroring next. What are you looking forward to that track?
I don't actually know it. It's one track that I'm not familiar with at all, not even slightly. So it'll be a new learning experience for me. So lots of practice this week.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm pretty sure we'll all jump in and try and help you out as much as we can, Tom. So before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just like to thank you guys for commentating, all the Performance Link guys. For making the team possible. My teammate Dave, obviously. I got to thank my wife for putting up with my sim racing habits, and anybody else who knows me.
Yeah, definitely. Always have to thank the wife. That's for sure. So
I should have thanked her first, shouldn't I? I should have gone with that first.
You should have. Yeah. No, thanks for joining us, Tom, and look forward to seeing you battling on and trying to get into that A final next week at the Hungaroring.
Cheers, lads. Thanks.
Cheers, Tom. Well, that was Tom Bingham there, who came second in the AM Championship, managing one of only 4 AM drivers that managed to get into that A final. So a really close race in there. It's been a fantastic start to the season, Josh.
And we're going to see how Tom Bingham can do and the rest of the field can do in 1 week's time for round number 2 at the Hungaroring. We hope all of you can join us then as well. Same time slot, 3 p.m. Eastern time. That translates over to 7 p.m. GMT to tune in for the next round of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. For Marco Barbadera down in the virtual production trailer, for Andy Thompson in the commentary booth with myself, Joshua Lee, thank you so much for joining us for round number 1 of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. And we'll see you for round number 2 in 1 week's time from virtual Hungaroring.